Good afternoon, my lovelies, and welcome back to the Crochet Crowd. I'm your host, Mikey. Today is just a Stitch Social afternoon. I'm just working on a design that I came up with last night, and I'm doing a real sample now and seeing how it's going to go. So yeah, if you want to let me know where you're from today, you're a crocheter or knitter, you're just hanging out, what is on your schedule today, you can let me know in the comments section. I can see that on camera. I'm pretty fluent in crochet, so I can look up quite a bit. So there we go. So we got Olajo and Amris in the house today, and welcome you guys and to the platform. And it's always a pleasure to serve here on YouTube. We have Gordon here in the house as well, Michelle and Wraith and CH10, and more people coming on board today. So I know it might be early in some of your time zones. It's currently 1:03 in my time zone here in the Atlantic. And I love being out here in the Atlantic. It's an earlier time zone than the rest of everybody else pretty much here in North America. So pretty excited to be there. And is there any things happening today in your life that you would like to share? Any questions that you may have? It's just Stitch Social today. And so I'm kind of working on a pattern. I was really quite inspired by your inspirations pattern yesterday, but I was bored with the technique. And so I decided to change it up a bit and make it my own. So being connected with the Yarn Inspirations, I can do that without any issues at all. So that's kind of a nice thing. So Salty's doing much better. As some of you know, he was hit by a car here in our driveway. We have an invisible fence, and we had somebody that was lost. And as they drove out, they accidentally hit Salty. It was a complete accident. I was outside. If it was anything more than just an accident, then of course we would have dealt with it. So he's much better than he was. And these dogs, I tell you, they're pretty resilient, but it's a struggle to see such a large breed, Great Pyrenees dog, struggling to walk and stuff. So, but he's doing much better, and pain meds and etc. has gone pretty good. So I think that car ran over his leg, and well, I was there. I saw it happen. So yeah. Okay, so welcome aboard, and I always say that when I'm on live. I don't know why, just an issue. Gordon's joining us live. There's people that want to know when we have these scheduled. It's when I'm in the mood. I hate scheduling lives, to be honest with you, because sometimes I do it and then I'm dreading that I did it. So came up with this sample last night. I'll show you what it looks like. And I'm pretty excited about it. So it's got texture, it's got interest. So I was just using some spare yarn. And this technique is called Bargello. And Bargello is the act of stepping up and stuff. And so that was kind of, it's kind of what I'm up to today. So I'm trying a sample with Red Heart Super Saver Ombre. The color is called Beautiful. So yeah. So anyway, I'm just doing a baby size just to see what it will look like. I don't think this technique was smart to do with a solid color yarn. I think variegated would be good, or long striping would be great with this kind of yarn, so you can see the stepping up motion of it. But if it's solid, then why put the work to it, right? So Gordon says, I bought the yarn for the empty chair basket, but I have too many other projects in the queue to start it yet. I know. So many ideas, so little time. So yeah, so we'll get that done. I'm kind of a unique person in the industry. Even though I'm a big person online, I still do all of my own stitch work. There's many other big personalities like me where they have an idea and then they farm it out to somebody else to do, which is totally okay. But because of that, I'm a slow designer. So I had the idea. I just want to do it myself. I don't want to I want to see that the artwork on the website is something that came from my hands. It's more of a pride thing than anything, but it makes me a slow producer of content because of it, right? So we have Donna all the way from Saskatchewan. And so somebody's attempting to knit socks, size 1 yarn. Well, that should be quite the journey. Mikey, what program could be used to create a graph pattern for tapestry crochet? I used an Excel spreadsheet. I think that's the best program that you could probably do, Kendra. So I think you're on the right track with that. So Megan is saying hello today. Somebody's making a long sweater. It's our first one. It says Valeria. Yeah, I like clothing and stuff. I just don't like measuring my own body. I just have a thing about it. I know, first world problem, but I don't know. I'm sure I'm not alone with that. I don't think I have a mistake. Oh my Lord. Yeah, so anyway, I have a mistake that I cannot ignore. And look, I don't even have to go on social media and bang it out on a computer. I can be out live on here and bitch about it. Yeah, so I find if I get angry about this kind of stuff, my tension changes. So it's either just to say, screw it. But going backwards is the thing. The frog, you have a kiss from the damn frog. Yeah, totally. How far back I gotta go. Oh my God. I'll just throw it in the garbage. So it happens. Like this is my, didn't happen last night. And I wasn't even live when I did that. So I don't know what's going on. So we have Dana. She's working on the, sorry, I don't want to assume that you're female. They are working on the aqua blossoms. I was screaming last night on my baby with blanket. It was maddening, says CH10. Yeah. I screwed up right near the beginning. Happens. Well, I've gone this far back, I might as well keep pulling. There's something wrong right where I'm holding. So Bargello is not a hard concept. It's just the person you see on camera today is a bit of a dummy. Prince Charming Kisses, says Michelle. We have Sacramento in the house. So Dana, I'm working on that too. Are there any plans for a crochet cruise in the future? No, we don't have any more of those scheduled for us. I kind of gave up on the whole process of it, to be quite frank with you. The amount of hours it takes to plan one of those, and then I'm kind of weak. Okay, so I'll be honest about it. I'm weak. It's like from Avatar, Jake Sully, she couldn't survive. She's weak. I kind of get tired of being complained about with the crochet cruises of not having an event that's not affordable. And the only way to really get rid of that negativity is just not do it. So I just kind of stopped it, and it got complex with the ships anyway. The new ships of today are not building conference rooms like they used to, and they do not like the use of a restaurant, even if it's not open. on board. So it got really complicated, and people like the big ships and the stuff. I like the smaller ships. I guess just my own personal preference, but it makes it very difficult. And we have to book the conference room as soon as the sailing becomes free. That's why it gets booked out like 2 years early. So we have the space and stuff, and I just kind of got tired. Yeah. So Bargello, 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 like Jello, but Bargello. Still working on the study of snow, taken about a year so far. A year! Holy cow, that's a long time. I don't have the patience for a year. But yeah, but you know, it is not a race at the end of the day. So you do what makes you feel better and good. So we have Florida in the house, says Lee and Kendra. Yeah. When we did decide, Kendra, when we decided to retire the Crochet Cruises, the amount of people that commented that they were waiting for their kids to grow up so they could actually go on vacation, they were quite disappointed in my decision. It was my decision in the end. We decided to retire before COVID hit, and then COVID hit anyway, and that canceled 2 of our cruises during that time frame, which is fine. So we really did not wind down the Crochet Cruises in a slow manner. So when we finally got back on the ship in 2022, I think it was, is when we finally said this was it. So yeah. So when will you be coming to Tahoe? We have that scheduled for October. So we have a conference going on in the pepper mill. So Jimmy Beans is handling all of that stuff for you. As far as I know, it's completely sold out. So that's not something that you can get in on at this time. So those events tend to go pretty quickly. So October 1st to the 1st to the 6th. So Wendy's joining us today. So yeah. So I wish I could see you in Tahoe in October, says Gordon. Gordon, are you local? Like, you might be able to make arrangements with Jimmy Beans, because we are doing a shopping experience at the Jimmy Beans retreat, or at the Jimmy Beans wool store, and everybody's being bussed in, and we've done that before where people will meet us at the store. So, and we're not in Tahoe, we're in Reno this time around, because the place that we rented last year is under renovation, so it's closed. And it's cheaper for people to stay in the city anyway. Yeah. So yeah, so we rented the penthouse suites of the Pepper Mill Casino. So we will be in our non-teaching time. You can be up in the penthouse with us. There's couches and refreshments and stuff all happening up there. You need your pass to get into that level. So all of our retreat people will have that, so they can do that. So do I have a favorite stitch? My favorite stitch is the Catherine wheel stitch, all-time favorite. I learned it as a kid. I loved it, and that's kind of cool. So so Gordon, just give Jimmy Beans an email when we get closer, and just make that arrangement with them, and they can give you more detail. We don't have our scheduling down pat yet. Where can I find out more about that event? On our events page on the crochetcrowd.com, at top is the events. That event is sold out, so there's no more events currently. We have a sold out Alaska event as well in September, so that's something that those tickets went pretty quick too. So right on the top of our homepage is where all of our events are. So it's hard to get a hold of people when we have events and stuff like that, because we don't have technically a mailing list for those kind of things. Any chance of Southern US tour? Probably not. Just the tours and stuff cost me money to do that. And I know what you're thinking, well, just get sponsorship. Sponsorship is hard to get. And and I really honestly cannot afford the hotel and the flying and the eating and the rental of spaces and stuff. It's just not affordable for me to do that. And hotels, they just don't give away free space. So it's not something that we can cheaply arrange. So really it costs somebody somewhere. And it's hard to bury costs in when they're real. So yeah. So what stitch am I doing? I'm doing the Bargello stepping, but I've made it my own in just playing with different stitches to see what I could do with it. And I don't have it written down, so you can't have the pattern here because I'm working on it. I will show you what it looks like in just a second. Let me just chain 2 and come back down. It looks like I was playing with it last night, so this is what it looks like. So I think it's kind of fun, and with the long striping yarn, it's kind of fun. So I have crisscrosses and I have Bargello stitch work mixed in. So I think it's kind of fun. So yeah. So it's Saskatchewan, Melissa. We have Donna, that's also from Saskatchewan here in the house today. Catherine wheel is beautiful. So I learned the Catherine wheel when I was a kid, and it just is something that stuck with me, and I loved it. And you know, the Catherine wheel stitch in the red, green, and white for Christmas coloring looks really amazing, like really nice. Somebody says they'll work on the sponsorship in the event space, and I won't make it in the summer. Yeah. It's a lot of pressure. You know, I did one event. This is totally gossip. I did one event, and honest to God, I got a complaint from a woman, and she was pissed. And anyway, we held our event. It was a free event because we got sponsorship at the time, and we were 15 minutes from her home. And she said, "How dare you put it in the next town? I mean, I'm disabled. I cannot get there." We were 15 minutes away from the location, and to be that close when we have flown in, I was like, holy cow, like I don't know what more you want me to do. Like it's just, so it's a bit much. People have an expectation that's not always realistic. And I had another one too. Wendy might remember. So she was all pissed off with the crochet cruises because we were cruising out of the Caribbean, and she wanted us to cruise out of Seattle because she lives in Seattle. And she said that it's not fair for her because she has to pay her air flight to go to the Caribbean. And so my response back to her was like, well, when we do the Alaska, which goes out of Seattle, everybody has to fly to Seattle. And her response was, yeah, but at least I don't have to pay the bill to fly. And I'm like, okay, not happening. So we had to put her on that little list that looks like black, because that's just nuts. So anyway, that was just like, oh. Anyway, so I've had to learn in this industry, you can't please everybody. Oh yeah, we did hear a lot of complaints like that. Wendy is very familiar with all that. Oh my God, it was just like crazy stuff. So one thing I had to realize that it's just never enough. It's just never enough. But you know what comment really, this is probably going to cause some shit, but you know what really upset me? We were in the one event, and the areas in the US that you choose dictates the population that comes out because of flying and locations and stuff. And so we did one event, and we filmed live from the event, and I ended up getting jumped all over, accusing me that it's a white woman's retreat. And I'm like, oh my God, you have no idea. And anyway, so they wanted to know why we're only serving the white women. And I'm like, and so the person that was complaining about it was a white person. And I thought, I don't understand. Like, we don't, segregate people like that. And it's like these are the people that signed up, and we're going, and we get there, and it is what it is. And yet when you choose a different location, then you can have a better mix of people. And anybody that knows me knows that, oh my God, I love the African American culture. I just think the women are just a riot, and we have a good time. And so for that to come at me, I was just like, oh my God. So Daniel and I had to have a little conference, a conclave, as you say, because I was so shook by that. I'm like, that is crazy. I'm like, yeah. So it's part of the world in which we live. And I was just, I really had my eyes opened like that. And I've had to learn a lot since being online as well, just to be able to manage things that come at you. So yeah, so it just kind of unbelievable. So I don't think I've ever shared this story publicly, but I'll share a story with you. And this may insult a few of you, so just that you're aware. So you can tune out and click me off now. So Daniel and I, we decided to do our very first cruise. And so we wanted to test if we could handle being on a cruise ship before we do the Crochet cruises. So we launched ourselves on a Carnival cruise going out of Galveston, Texas. And anyway, it was the most shocking thing I have ever experienced in my entire life. Honestly, by the second day, I wanted off that ship and just to go home. I was just absolutely floored. And I'll tell you what happened, which was really just utterly shocking. So you know how the cruise ships, they assign you a table to sit at, and sorry, I'm just recouping because it really upset me a lot. So we get sat at this table, and so we say we're Michael and Daniel. We're from Canada, and he goes, and so it was like minutes into this whole thing, and he goes, "Well, how dark is it up in Canada?" I'm like, "We live in Ontario." I said, "We have hydro power," and I said, "We don't live in the sticks or through candlelight." And this asshole said to me, "How many F and N's are living in your town?" And I was like, holy shit. I like, this is not happening. So I turned to Daniel. I said, we can't sit here. We cannot sit here. I said, I cannot sit here. And so anyway, Daniel, I just said, we're leaving. So I get up and I go to the maitre d' and I said, we need another table. I said, I can't sit at that table. I just can't. And anyway, so the maitre d' was really good and moved us, and we had a great supper crew moving to a different table. And I'm like, what the hell is this? Because I'm from Canada, so there is racism, of course, up here, but it's not like that. Like, I have never, ever seen that in my lifetime. And I was like floored. And so I was sitting, this is how bad this cruise was. I was sitting by the pool on the second day, and these white people are sitting beside me and calling the black people names as they walk by. And I'm like, I don't understand. Like, where in the hell am I? And I was like, so I turned to Daniel, I said, we need to move. And so we found with this particular cruise that we need to move around to get ourselves away from this. And it was nonstop for a bloody week. And so anyway, you know, I love my African American sisters, and the men and stuff. I just think the culture is amazing. They've had to endure a lot, and I'm really and I complimented a black woman, and she told me to go F myself. And I was like, oh my God. So, and I thought as I walked away, I'm like, what is going on? And I realized that because of what I was seeing on this cruise, I realized why she did that to me. And I was like, oh my God. So I realized after day 3 is that we just got to keep our mouth shut, keep your head down, and just get through it. And it was a horrible experience. So we decided to keep our mouth shut. So we were on a bus tour on day 3, and we were in Jamaica. And oh my God, these people, and I'm talking, there was a ton of people just going after the Jamaicans in Jamaica. I'm like, why are we doing this to each other? And on the bus, I will never forget this. This guy is sitting beside Daniel, and he goes, "Those effing Canadians," and whatever, because we never talked to anybody. We were keeping our mouth shut. I made sure that my Canadian pin was off so that I couldn't be identified, because I realized that I can't function on this ship if I'm looking like I don't belong. And anyway, he was just going on and on. And the other woman on the other side of her was Asian, and she was from Canada, from Vancouver. And he ripped her a new asshole for being Asian. And I'm like, okay, we're done. We're done. And I told Daniel, I don't know if I can be on a cruise ship after this experience. And it was the most horrendous thing I had ever seen in my life. And so people will say, well, you need to do a cruise out of Galveston, Texas. And all week I heard, this is what I heard. Again, if you're insulted, please go away. It says that Texas rules and Oklahoma blows. And so basically there was almost like this, it's not a fight, but there is a segregation of the states itself between people. And I thought, oh my God. So anyway, and then this little girl nearly drowned in the pool in front of me. But I wasn't paying attention at this point. I'm completely just zoned out, minding my own business. And I look up and there's some hair floating in the water like this. And I had no idea from my angle that it was a kid literally drowning in the pool. And it was her hair, because she had a thing up. And her mother comes screaming and realized that her kid has walked away, is in the pool, because they abandoned the kids at the pool, because the kid walked off the shallow area and into the deep area. And I wasn't paying attention at all. And she grabbed this kid by the ponytail um, um, and yanked this kid out of the pool. And then she looked at me, she goes, "Did you not see my kid?" And I'm like, I didn't. Like, you're on a cruise ship, there is no lifeguards. Yeah. So what Oklahoma blows, I think it was a comment that it says Texas rules and Oklahoma blows. And I think it was a derogatory towards people that were from Oklahoma on the ship. And it was like, I just never seen anything like that before. So anyway, it shook me to my core. And so I don't want to put myself somewhere that I don't feel comfortable. That's just after seeing that. But we have racism in Canada. I'm not going to deny that. But I had never seen it like that ever in my lifetime. And it really was really unbelievable. And I think everybody's just trying to get to their end of their lives with as less harm as possible. But some people just want to make it so hard for people to get through. So anyway, that's kind of my experience with that. Sorry to be so deep, right? But yeah, so that's kind of thing. So I've heard about it in the States, but I had never seen it until that moment. And Daniel and I were never the same after that. So, and really, you don't have to be upset for me because I don't live there. But there's so many people that I think are going through pretty difficult times because of it. It was not my job to watch your kid. I just happened to be sitting right in front of the pool because I'm not a, um, if you know me, I'm not a kid lover. I don't enjoy being around kids, so I tend to ignore kids. So I just sitting there and just listening to my music, and I was just doing my own thing. So I was just like, yeah. So anyway, my point being is that I wasn't watching. So yeah, so that's kind of my some of my experiences with that. Um, I grew up in a household that was not that had that mentality with the racism, and um, and I don't think I've shared this story. No, I might have, but I'm very quiet about it. But anyway, I called a Pakistani kid the N word uh, when I was uh, when I was in grade 4, and I knew him from my class. And I don't know even know what he did to me, but anyway, the camp counselor grabbed me by the collar and dragged me across the field and threw me into a chair. And the owner of the camp came out and he literally grabbed me by the neck and he says, "I'm giving you," he says, I want to, you need to tell me 3 reasons why you're better than this other boy." And, I couldn't even come up with one other than my color. And, uh, and he says, "You can either change your life right now or you go home." And I tell you, it shook me so bad that it changed my whole perception of life at that very moment. And and me being also a gay guy now is that I really can't judge another culture when I'm also living an alternative lifestyle too. So it's really kind of eye opening at the end of the day. But you know what? As much as it scared me with that camp counselor as a kid, I think it did me a favor because I was growing up in that environment, and so it separates myself from the people that I grew up with just accepting people for what they are. Anyway, that's kind of my thing. So Suzanne remembers me that. Sure. Yeah, I don't share that story over. I wanted to put that on my book, but I just didn't have the courage to do it. So anyway, so if I could wave a magic wand, I would do away with that with society where there's a hierarchy of people that think they're better than others. It's just it's just what it is. And I don't think I'll see that change in my lifetime, unfortunately. Okay, so I'm testing a concept that I tried last night, and it's just doing some stitch work. And I just want to actually get a little bit. We have Stitch Social tonight, so we have a local group, and so I want to get something more concrete in my hands, so I don't and the use of the pattern before I get there. Because once you start gossiping, then you start making mistakes, right? So yeah. So Daniel is out in the garden at the moment, and I am just playing with the yarn. So we have Hawaii in the house. So if you haven't mentioned where you're from today, you can just do a quick introduction. Your local group looks like so much fun. Yeah, our local group, I will never film in the local group as far as like allowing a live stream. Um, my group, and I think I might be the instigator, but we'll just plead the Fifth Amendment. I think they call that in the US. I'll plead the fifth that I'm not guilty, but the local group can never be filmed live as far as like a live session out for the 3 hours that we're there, because the conversations fly, and the women and the men that come out, we're so bad at times, and it's so much fun. So we have a really good group. And it's not uncommon to see the finger at least go up a couple times. And it's usually coming my way because I deserve it. So we have a really good time. So yeah, I'm going to say, because it's primarily women, the women want to come there, as Wendy's alluding to. They want to come there and just talk adult stuff and just be themselves. And if so, we don't allow kids with our stitch group. Mind you, the kids probably teach us more stuff than we're already yapping about, but so we keep it adult based, and some of the conversations are quite interesting, to say the least. So it's a lot of fun. And so the group is actually, it's almost 6 years now we've been meeting up. And remember, your local Michaels could probably host, or Joanne could probably host a group like you. You still need to be in charge of it. So I have the contract signed for me. It's free, and they don't mind you using the room, but you just got to make sure you leave it the way they found it, so clean. And so we've been doing that for years. And so we started a secondary meetup because our group at nighttime is getting full. Like we have a lot of people, so we do a Tuesday afternoon, but it hasn't caught fire yet. So we're just waiting for people to just show up. And then some of us then go to the pub afterwards for dinner, because the group meets at around 6. So most of the group goes for dinner as a group before the group, and then the rest of us, including me, because I'm working, I go to the pub after stitch night. So it's kind of a nice thing. So is that a kitty bed? Yes. So that was a basket. I taught that on, I don't think I released the video on YouTube yet. Did I? It's a basket. It still might be in the membership area. So let me take a look. The basket is still in the membership area. So I haven't released it to the general public yet. It'll be soon though. So have no fear. I got your back. I got you. So Valeria must do it again. They work nights another day. So you can just ask them. They don't mind. I think they just don't want drama that they have to deal with. So, but just talk to your local Michaels or Joanne, and see if you can get a space. Now they're starting to do their class teaching again, so you can't interfere on that time. But we go on Wednesday nights because there's nothing booked for the room, generally speaking. But and then there's some blackout dates that we're not allowed to do. I think it's Black Friday, and then Boxing Week, like Christmas, that we're not allowed to have the room because they're using the room as a staging area for online orders. So, but honestly, it's no big deal. Yeah. So I'm using Red Heart Super Saver Blue Defaults Super Saver Ombre. So what's you reading lately? I am not a reader. Unless it goes across Facebook, I'm not a reader. I have maybe read my own book, and I read, okay, so I probably read 3 books in my life, and one of them is mine. I'm not a reader. I'm not a strong reader. So, yeah. I know, pathetic. I just never got into it. So my favorite yarn brand is Bernat, is my favorite. And the reason for it is that I grew up with it, because if you understand, and that Red Heart was not here in Canada when I grew up. So it was only in the US, and I never knew anything about Red Heart because obviously it's pre-internet. So Bernat is a Canadian brand, and it was in the local stores here. So Bernat has always been my go-to, and it actually holds a bit of nostalgia for me. Bernat Super Value, Bernat Premium. I just trust the brand as a whole. So that's my favorite brand of all. But I really do like Karen too. So Karen, I think, is number 2, and then Red Heart's number 3. But any yarn that's affordable, I'm all over. Did you try the loops and threads? No. Loops and threads, they do not sponsor our teaching. So I don't touch loops and threads. So I'm only touching yarn that I can literally teach with, and to be able to afford to pay the bills for all the patterns that we write that we don't charge for. So I don't do any loops and threads at all. And I don't do Big Twists, which is the Joanne brand, and any other private labels. I think Mainstays is Walmart's. I don't touch that brand either. So why Michaels are with Loops and Threads? Loops and Threads is their home brand. So Loops and Threads, it's always been their home brand. So whenever they private label, it's always under the Loops and Threads brand. That's their own brand. But if I was talking about this the other day on a video, it's like if you don't see the yarns and the yarns have been taken off the shelves, the only way that Michaels or Joanne will know is that you email the corporate and say, I really wish you would return a product that you've taken off the shelf. And that's the only way they're going to know. So giving the people at the store a hard time about the yarn choices is pointless, because it's at the corporate level that they decide that kind of stuff. So my whole goal, Carol's talking about the patterns going to, I just feel like education should be free. It's always been my thing, unless I physically cannot afford to do it free, which is like hardly ever. I don't have to charge for it. And so I figure out other ways to get funding to do that. And that's a really big thing. I'd rather you spend your money on yarn, or somebody buy your groceries, your rent, and your education in the crochet field becomes free. And that's just my own mentality of thinking. But we've always started with free patterns, and that's something that I want to retire. Like whenever I retire, I don't want to ever turn the website into a sales platform for selling patterns. That's not a goal for me. It's not important, and unless I can't afford to function, then it will always be free. But you just got to make sure you're on my website, because the website traffic is kind of sucking right now. So just go on the crochetcrowd.com. If you're ever looking for anything, just do me a favor, just get on the site and just look around. That you can help me out a lot to keep things free. So that's important. So I know it's selfish to ask that, but it's true. I think there's been a major shift in technology for website development, and because of it, our traffic is really low. So Wood Pigeon, OJ, I have a book. Yes, I do have a book, Jay. It's all about our journey coming here to Nova Scotia. And there's 15 patterns as well. So I am joining late. So Lara, I am working on just a concept blanket that I've been trying. I tried a pattern yesterday. I tried writing something new, and so I did a sample last night, and so I'm now doing the real size, so I have something to photograph. And I don't know how long it's going to take me, probably forever and a day. Yeah. So our Joanne has so much yarn now that it's wow. A lot of it, people are they closing now where I live, and people are they closing. Okay, so Joanne, I don't know if that's a question or a comment. So Joanne, as you know, filed Chapter 11 bankruptcy, but it's not Chapter 7. If it was Chapter 7, they'd be done. So they're just moving around their assets. But if you want to support Joanne, now's the time to do it, as they're restructuring. So I understand that some stores, based on what Public has said, that maybe just reshifting and realigning, maybe closing some places and doing something in other places. But Joann's is not going anywhere, as far as I know. And that's based on what my information is that I got directly from Joanne. It's just a restructure. So the book, where the book is available, you can go on Amazon, you can go on Chapters. But on my website, we have the link for the book. If you are, the publisher prefers that you go to your local bookstore and give them the ISBN number and have them order it in for you to support the local bookstore. But if you don't want to wait for that, just go on Amazon.com. And so I did share an article about Joann's bankruptcy and stuff. And one of the things that I would really caution you about is that here in Canada, and Canadians, who's Canadian here? Because you'll totally understand where I'm coming from, is that our choices here in Canada on where to shop is like so small compared to what Americans have the opportunity to do. So you guys in the States, you have Michael's and Joanne and Hobby Lobby. You have other places, I believe, as well. Here in Canada, we either have Walmart or we have Michael's for the most part, and then that's it. So there's a lot of dead area in our country of lack of retail. So my point being is that don't let Joanne fold by not supporting it, because you'll end up like us up here where you realize that you wish you would have had a choice. And when there is no choice, you're up here and it's like, I don't have a choice. And so it's important that you support your local stores when you can. Yeah, well, Mary Maxim also, yes, that's right. We have Yarn Canada, which is an online website. Mary Maxim is online as well. So, so it wasn't until I was a truck driver that I realized that America has so many choices of retail shopping. It blew my mind. And so when you come back to Canada here, you'll notice that the retail opportunities are really low. And because of that, you either have it or you don't. And or you online shop. So I'm a huge online shopper because I live in a village, literally. And so where am I going to shop, right? So you go online. So there's a lot of people that complain about the price of shipping and stuff, which is legit. But for me to drive an hour in today's economy with the gas to the city and to hope that they have stock, it's just easier to order online and pay the shipping because it's less than me to go to the city to spend my time and money on the fuel. So do I ever buy from the small yarn shops? Not really. And it's only because we're sponsored by Yarnspirations. And I learned early on in this business, when you showcase a yarn that is a specialty shop yarn and it's not available, you just get so much criticism versus using a yarn that is mostly mass retail. And it just happens to be, that's just the way our platform works, right? Oh, Hirschner's too, yeah. But I think you should support the small shop. It's just me, myself, I have, because of, we're trying to keep everything free all the time. We try to use brands that are readily available when they can be, right? Oh, Woolworth. Oh my God, you're showing your age. Who said Woolworth? Woolworth. Kendra said Woolworth. Oh my God. And that's Canadians probably remember that Woco was bought out. I think Walmart bought Woco. So then that was it. And then Zellers, our major national retailer, couldn't handle Walmart. And then they were done. Woolworth is the first job. Yeah. Woolworth and Zellers. Of course, Zellers. So I used to get all my yarn at Zellers. So Zellers is very much like a Target. Well, was a Target, like a Target. It couldn't handle Walmart coming to town. Went to Ben Franklin's. Oh, Ben, yeah. Well, who owns? Joanne owns Ben Franklin's now, don't they? Does anybody remember Red Rose? Red Rose. That's where I used to also get yarn. Canadians will probably know Red Rose. Oh, White Rose. White Rose, Debbie. Yes. White Rose. I knew it sounded wrong. White Rose. I used to love White Rose. So White Rose was it's crafts. What was White Rose anyway? It was crafts. Lots and lots of crafts and plants, right? Plants. Yeah. Whatever happened to them anyway? Oh, was it Gardening Center? Yes, it was. Red Rose. So I drank Red Rose tea. That's really why I thought that. So Michael, that must be only in Ontario. That's pretty possible. White Rose, was that only on Ontario? Let me take a look. Where was White Rose stores? Operations was sold. White Rose Crafts and Nurseries retail chain was sold. Yep, they were Ontario based. Who bought White Rose? Yep. 2002 is when they went out. Yes, Kmart had yarns and still have some. Is Kmart still around? I thought Kmart was long gone. I know it's been out of Canada for years. My wife and I think we shopped at Kmart, but I don't think it survived. Darlene, I think you're right. It sounds like that. Kmart is gone in the States. Have you ever tried King Cole tea? Yes, I have tried that. It's pretty good stuff too. So what stores, I think, of the past do you regret that are gone? I don't know if I was ever a Kmart fan, to be honest with you. Fields had yarn. I miss AC Moore. Yes, AC Moore. Actually, the buyer for the yarn there was so interesting. So she was the buyer for all the AC Moore stores, and she was so talented that she has works in the Smithsonian Museum because she was a stone carver. The buyer for Joanne, or sorry, for AC Moore. She was so sweet. So she's got a work of art in the Smithsonian Museum. It was a stone carving. I don't know what the carving is. Kmart here in the States, they had a huge selection of fabrics. Woolworth. Thrifties. Oh, the ice cream. Thrifties. 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 I'm trying to think. Thrifties. I don't know what that is. The Fentex yarn, other than slippers, you'd want to use it like outdoor or outdoorsy. You could rugs for sure. It's a plastic based yarn that is apparently waterproof, so it can handle stuff like that. Thrifties is a drugstore. Okay, never heard of that then. Amis, I don't know what that is either. Yes, I missed the 15 cents a scoop ice cream. 15 cents. Oh my God. You can't even afford to walk into a Dairy Queen with 50 cents or 15 cents. Toys R Us. I looked them up the other day, actually, Toys R Us, and to see if they're still around. I believe they're gone out of Canada as well, if not gone completely. So my dad retired from Sears. I was never a Sears fan, to be honest with you. And I just had a bad experience when I was a teenager in there. There was a really cocky salesperson that just kind of turned me off. So I kind of said, screw it, not going back. And I hold grudges. So I held a grudge, and it did eventually go belly up. So I wasn't upset about it when it did, because I was still holding a grudge. Toys R Us is back, but restructured into a different toy store. Oh, that's interesting. Macy's only exists in New York City. NYC, New York City, yes. Oh yeah, pennies for candy. I remember that too. And you get that little brown bag that you came with it, and you could take away your little brown bag of like penny candy, jubes and stuff. Alberta has Toys R Us Baby. Pray why, I don't know. I don't have kids, which is good. So Jaime and David, they work at Macy's, I think, and they're in California. I think the retailer, everything is leaving San Francisco. I think just honestly, the retail market is changing so much. We're experiencing that up here as well. I think for me, COVID taught me to shop online, because I never was an online shopper until COVID hit. And then once I became used to it, I'm like, okay. So, and you have to understand too, I also live in a village, as I said before. So my choices to shop is pretty low. But even the local stores here, they like the Walmart for men's clothing. I don't want to wear their stuff, as I'm wearing this Walmart thing now, but a friend gave it to me. So, but then my shirt is online, and my pants are Amazon. My socks are Amazon. My underwear is from my teenage years. So you heard a lot of Joann's will be closing. I have not heard that. I heard that there might be a few, because they're just testing to see what stores are actually just not performing. But I don't think a lot are closing. I just think there's restructuring happening that is more corporate based. That's what I've been told. We have a 99-cent store and they're closing now. It's sad that they're closing. We have a ton of dollar stores here. I actually read somewhere, and this may upset a few of you, but they said the number of dollar stores in an area dictates the financial um, stability of the community as a whole. So they said the more dollar stores you have, the more poor the people are. And so we just had another one open up here, and I think we have, I don't know how many we have. We have quite a few of them. And it's kind of sad when I think about it. It's like if you look at it from terms of what people can afford, if that's truly the unit of measure. But there's definitely a need. So that's a good thing. So I caused not a bit of a stink, but I kind of did on my own Facebook profile. So there was something on Twitter. Don't even go at me about Twitter. There's on that a certain cheese was $28.99 at my grocery store. Canadian living is higher standard than the US, so the pricing is different. So it's $28.99 for Tristella cheese, and yet at the local Walmart it's $14.99. So the major grocery store has it for $28.99, but it's $14.99 at Walmart. And so in all these years that Walmart has been here, I have never grocery shopped at Walmart. I've always stayed with the grocery store. But based on the economy and trying to find money where you can, I asked my local friends, I said, is it really true that you're going to save that much money by moving over to Walmart? And they're like, absolutely. And I'm like, so anyway, so I made a deal with Daniel. I said, the only way I'm going into a Walmart is going in at 7 in the morning so that there's no crowds because we have a really busy location. So I'm looking to save money where I can. So it doesn't make me a snob by not going to Walmart. I've always kept my groceries at a grocery store. I never mixed it with a department store. But I won't switch where we get our meat and produce at the markets, and that I won't switch. So just basic everyday, like sugar, cereal, milk, just the basics. We still keep at the grocery store, but everything else is we keep it to the grocery store. And then we started HelloFresh as well. So we kind of paused that just for a couple weeks just to give it a rest. But we've saved quite a bit of money doing HelloFresh. Payless shoes, we had one here, but it closed soon after we moved here. So I think Payless shoes are done too. Are the paper goods cheaper at Walmart? I don't know that. So I haven't shifted over to Walmart for grocery shopping. Because I only asked the question, I think, last week. And we're not in need of groceries yet. So Payless shoes closed here about 5 years ago. That sounds about right. I think the chain went belly up 5 years ago. So I don't trust ordering shoes online. That's the only purchase that I struggle online, is to get the right shoes. Do you have any farm stalls for organic fruits and vegetables? Yes, we have 4 of them. So we live in a agriculture area. So just immediately, as soon as you get out of our laneway, one direction, 2 seconds later, you're in a market, and the other direction, the same thing. So we support the local farmers with that stuff. Tarrant, so the granny blanket, the colors. So I posted the colors a substitute on the article. There was currently stock when I checked the other day. The kit, it was actually originally a kit from the Stitch Stop and Roll thing from 2016. So she had one of my kits that she had never used. And so the kit only had so many balls in it. So she was short. So I gave her the only kit I had left so she could finish her blanket. Where do we see send you pictures of our creations if we wanted to share? If you go on our website, you can see a contact and you can just email me. Just know that I get quite a bit of email, so I may not get back to you within a quick time frame. As I sit here and crochet and the emails roll in. I just ask that you don't treat the email system as a as like a back and forth as far as like a conversation. That's why there's social media. There's some people that just want to keep the conversation going. So I'll answer the question and then they'll ask something else and then they ask something else. And I realize that they're just wanting somebody to talk to, which is fine. But I don't have a lot of time to do that. I know, how rude is that? So I'm currently just working on a testing project for an idea that I thought of last night. So yeah, so Chad, just share with me for sure. I'm always interested to see what you're up to. We did restart the Facebook group, just so you know. I don't know if you want to post the link for that, Wendy. I can post it too. So we started a group actually in the beginning of January. So we've been really quiet about it. It's on Facebook now. So it has a new interface that we'd never had before. And so we've not, knock on wood, had drama. But what we're doing this time around is that the group got to 150,000 last time, and it got to the point where there's people fighting every day on it. So what we're doing is we're limiting the amount of people that can be on it. So once it gets to a certain population, we're no longer taking in new people. We're a long way from that at this moment. And so we're growing the group quietly, but also steadily, but just like just a few each day. And it's been a much better experience. And I don't necessarily think people want to be part of a huge group. Right now we have 164 people in the chat, which is great. It's a good size. So bigger is not always better. Again, I like smaller cruise ships for a reason. So an email is fine. Chad, just send me an email. But if you want other people to see your creativity, the Facebook group is a good place to do. So Wendy has posted a link for you. So if you want to do that, make sure you do fill out the questions. If you don't fill out questions, then you don't go in. We don't put you into the group. The other problem with the other group is that it started before the questions were allowed, so it got grandfathered in. And then people are like, I didn't know that was the rules. And so then it becomes a real problem. So this time, because it's a fresh group, we're making sure people understand the rules. Basically, no fighting, essentially. Yeah. So that's kind of, it's the only place really to share. So, and chat, it's my pleasure to serve the videos when I can. So, yeah, that's right, Wendy. So we did have the questions, but people were already in the group before that was even in there. And then Wendy has the structure so that the latest new posting is up top. So before it used to always be the popular stuff, always bubble to back to the top. So it makes people that post stuff, their stuff doesn't get equal airtime. And because of that, we didn't feel that was fair. So Wendy restructured it so that the latest update from you is the latest up, so that you get equal opportunity for everybody. And she's reviewing them in batches. So she's no longer just staying online all day long, just click, 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 click. So she's doing batches. So you'll see a whack go in at the same time, and that's because she's reviewing them. So the only rule that she has on me, because she's she knows what she's doing, and I always like bend her rules, and then she wants to kill me. So the only rule is that I'm not in charge of accepting a new membership because she doesn't trust me. So anyway, so if she accepts it, then if somebody's in the group and they're misbehaving, then she can't point the finger at me. So we have a really fun relationship between the two of us. But so what mommy says, mommy gets. And so she says, you are not to accept any memberships in there. I'll do it. And I'm like, okay, that's fine. So she reads all of the questions that are the survey questions that are asked. And she does all that. And she's got a lot of people that have her blocked from the last group because they didn't like our past rules, so they blocked her. And so though we can still see them, and she as an administrator can still see them, there's no point if the person cannot see what she's posting in case there's an information that we need to share. So we're not allowing anybody that has any one of us blocked, because it means that whatever we say is just invisible. Yeah. And she did ask me nicely, but she's got that mean stare, and I could feel it coming across my computer. Do you have any tips for adding crochet to fabric? For example, crocheting a sleeve to a sleeveless shirt. I have never done that. That's probably another YouTube host may have that. I've never done that. It's a neat idea, though. I know, kind of a sucky answer. I've never actually even checked into that. I just never thought that was a thing. Oh, so you got to read Wendy's last comment, how it came out of her mouth. Okay, first of all, you start with your head on the right, and then you got to say, then you got to move your head to the left, then back to the right, and then back to the left. So then you got to see what she says. And those blockers, they be breaking the rules, but not on my watch. Sounds about right. Okay. What yarn am I using? I'm using Red Heart Super Saver Ombre. Color is called Beautiful. I was trying to figure if the first time I saw Mikey's channel was a video he did where he spoke about a cruise he had set up for crocheters to go on. Might have been about 2013, 12 or 13 years ago. That's a long time. So we started the crochet cruises in 2013. So that's probably true. And that's how you set it too. I know it ain't my first rodeo, Wendy. Wendy has me trained. Okay, so I think I am. Hope everybody has a great day, says Barb. Oh, Barbara is here. I miss Barbara. Have a great day, Barb. The best way to join yarn is to do a weaver's knot. So a weaver's knot is how they tie the yarn together in the factories. It's called a weaver's knot. And let me get you a link for that. Mm-hmm. And anyway, this is the best knot to use. It'll never come out. Weaver's knot. So this is coming into the weaver's knot. So it's the way that it is put together makes it the weaver's knot. Got to mow the grass. More rain in Sacramento, where it's still too early in the year to be mowing up here. But yeah. Okay, so I'm probably gonna sign off. I have to have a humanitarian break and probably have a cup of tea. And so far, so good. Pretty cool, right? And we'll be back another time. And you are Jean is seeing Jean is seeing beans are never mind. Their trees are budding out. I can't even speak. Have a great one, and we hope you all have a good one. And we will see you again another time. And that's it for today.